Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's your host Freya. If you've watched American movies or TV shows, you've probably seen scenes involving prom, graduation ceremonies, yearbooks, lockers, or teenagers dramatically saying goodbye to each other in school hallways. Sometimes these moments are exaggerated for entertainment, but at the same time, these high school traditions really are important to many Americans. In the United States, high school is often seen as more than just education. For many people, it represents friendship, identity, independence, and the transition into adulthood. Today, we're going to talk about some of the biggest American high school rites of passage, especially prom and graduation, and why these moments can feel so important culturally. First, let's quickly recap some important things about how American high school works, and for a deeper dive, check out my earlier episode detailing American high school. In the US, high school usually includes students between the ages of 14 and 18 years old. The 4 years are commonly called freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. That last year, senior year, is especially important culturally. For many students, it's filled with lasts. Your last football game, your last school dance, your last classes with childhood friends, your last year living fully as a teenager. And for many Americans, this period represents a unique kind of freedom before adult responsibilities begin. This might sound dramatic, but for some Americans, high school really does become one of the defining periods of their lives. Sometimes people joke, a little bit unkindly perhaps, that high school was someone's peak. You might say, oh, he peaked in high school. Meaning it was the happiest, most socially successful, or most exciting time in their life in a positive sense. It can also mean that was their high point in life, and afterwards, everything kind of went downhill. That's in a more negative sense. This idea of high school being a peak in life is often exaggerated, but there's a reason it exists. After high school, life in the US can change quickly. People may move away for university, start working full-time, join the military, get married, or begin raising families. In the US, it is also more common than in some European countries for people to marry and start families relatively soon after finishing their education, whether that's university or high school. So senior year can feel like the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. And for many families, simply graduating from high school is a major accomplishment. Some students are the first in their family to finish high school. Others may face financial pressures, family responsibilities, or difficult circumstances that make finishing school challenging. So graduation can carry a lot of emotional meaning, not only for students, but for entire families. Now let's talk about prom. Prom is a formal dance that usually takes place near the end of the school year, especially for juniors and seniors. For many students, it's one of the biggest social events of high school. People often dress very formally. Boys or young men may wear tuxedos or really nice suits. Girls or young women may wear formal, floor-length dresses. Students often attend with a date or with groups of friends. There are also traditions connected to prom. One well-known example is the corsage, which is a small arrangement of flowers, usually worn on the wrist or clothing. Before prom, many students take formal photos with friends or family, go out to dinner, and then attend the dance itself. Some proms, dinner is at the dance. And some students even rent limousines for the evening. Of course, American movies and television have made prom seem incredibly dramatic. In films, prom is often presented as the most important night of a teenager's life. There are dramatic speeches, romantic confessions, popularity contests, and emotional endings. In reality, prom experiences vary a lot. For some students, it really is a meaningful and memorable event. For others, it's simply a fun dance you go to with friends. And some students don't care about it at all. Still, the reason prom appears so often in American media is because it symbolizes something bigger: growing up. And if prom is the social celebration, graduation is the formal milestone. High school graduation ceremonies are usually large events attended by families and friends. Students wear caps and gowns and receive diplomas as they cross the stage when their name is called. There are often speeches from school leaders or top students, including the valedictorian. That's the student with the highest academic performance in the graduating class. One famous tradition is tossing graduation caps into the air at the end of the ceremony. And yes, we do that. For many families, graduation is deeply emotional. Parents may cry. I cried. Grandparents may travel long distances to attend. Photos are taken constantly. And for students, graduation often represents both excitement and uncertainty. American high schools also have many smaller traditions connected to senior year. One example is the yearbook, a book of student photos, activities, and memories from the school year. Students often sign each other's yearbooks with personal messages before graduation. Another common tradition is senior photos, which are formal portraits taken during the final year of high school. And then you have little ones printed out and you pass them out to your friends throughout the year. And here's an important vocabulary phrase: the academic calendar. This refers to the schedule of the school year. Different countries organize their academic calendars differently. In the US, the school year usually begins around August or September and ends in May or June. And seniors typically finish the school year a little bit earlier. In my case, the end of May is when we graduated, while the rest of the high school went on for another week into June. After high school graduation, American students take many different paths. Some attend university, some begin working immediately, others join the military, attend trade schools, or take gap years. One important cultural point is that many Americans move away from home after graduation, especially for college. That expectation of independence is a significant part of American culture. At the end of the day, these high school traditions are not really about dances, caps, or yearbooks. They're about transition. They mark the movement between childhood and adulthood. And even though movies sometimes exaggerate American high school life, these experiences remain meaningful for many people because they are tied to identity, memory, friendship, and change. Before we finish, let's go over a few useful words from today's episode. A rite of passage is an important transition in life. Prom is a formal school dance, usually held in the spring. Diploma is a document showing completion of studies. Yearbook, a book of school memories and student photos. And academic calendar, the schedule of a school year. And one pronunciation note. When I talked about what students wear to prom, we talked about small bunch of flowers, usually girls wear. That's called a corsage, pronounced corsage. That final sound comes from French. Thanks, French. Even if American movies sometimes make high school look overly dramatic, these traditions continue to matter because they represent an important moment in people's lives. A moment between being a child and becoming an adult. And no matter where you live, I think most people can relate to that feeling. Now I'm curious, in your experience, was the end of high school as important a moment as it is for many American students? Let me know. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.